Was alright, so like I discussed in my last video, I was talking about grade with setting up forms. Sometimes it's difficult just using a string line. So one of the things that we use to help us, especially with long distance and larger objects, is called a transit. Alright, and this particular one is a laser level transit. Okay, so I'm going to discuss how this works and just give it a brief run through on how to set it up. Okay, so the first thing we did was we set up our transit on the tripod. This is a self-leveling one. So right now there's a laser in there spinning at 360 degrees really fast to give you 360 degree coverage from this point. Okay, this is kind of like our benchmark for what we set up everything from. Okay, then our next thing that we're going to do, we got our story pole right here, okay? And we got our ticker right here. So we got to turn our ticker on right there. All right. Now, let's take it off so we can not listen to that as much. We're trying to set up a reference point to find out where everything is relative to that point, which is basically going to be this guy right here. So I want to place this on this pole. Now that beeping noise is going to indicate where this is relative to the laser. So for example, if it beeps fast, that means this is higher than that laser, than that benchmark. If it beeps slow, that means it's lower than that benchmark. Once you hear a constant beep, that means it's even with the benchmark. Okay? So what you do is you take your story pole and you face your laser. It shut off on me. Nope, she's good. And there's also an arrow on there indicating which direction I need to go. So like I said, fast is high, low is low. Okay. Now, I simply take the knob and I turn it on tight and I'm good to go. Now, these things are extremely sensitive. There is a level up here indicating when the stick is plumb. Just by turning it this much out of plumb, or this much forward or to the back, it will actually take off your mark. So you want to try to hold it relatively plumb so when you set it up, you're good to go. Okay, so now we have a reference point relative to everything else. So let me show you how this is going to work. Now here is the forms that we were talking about earlier. Okay, now we know that we have slope. Well, let's say for example we need to find out how much slope there is. Let's say for example if this is needed for a wheelchair, you only can have X amount of, I think it's like a tenth or 0.01 for every 10 feet or something like that. I don't know offhand. But anyways, you need to know what your pitch is for stuff like that. So we can actually find out how much lower that point is over there relative to this point right here. So if we take this right here, okay, we know that this is even with that right now. So now we're going to take it over here. Now that laser is still spinning 360 degrees over there. So we can take this like this. I'm going to shut that off so we can't listen to it. But this mark right here, if I was to place a pencil mark, and we know that this mark right here is directly even to where I started a minute ago. So that means it's about 12 inches lower than over there. So this probably wouldn't be okay for a wheelchair. Okay? We could do this with the slab that's up there where the house is located. to find out if everything's even with each other on all four corners. We can do very large distances. We can lay out foundations and stuff like that with this laser level using different benchmarks to find out where stuff is at. So this is an awesome tool for this. Again, this is called a transit laser transit. All right, cool.